Hey everybody, this is our first go around here, making sure that you guys can listen to these and watch these, so if there are any issues, make sure that you let me know. But I'll just give you a quick review of Chapter 18 here. So Chapter 18 goes through patient billing, posting patient payments, and collecting fees. So I just want to point out a couple of more of the important parts of the chapter. The patient billing part, you should know the differences between the methods of billing that they can use. So know that there's a difference between monthly billing, which is usually a little bit more efficient. There's 1 or 2 days that are set aside for processing them and actually mailing the statements out then. Cycle billing is usually a large number of statements that get sent out each month. I can't talk apparently. So you usually pick a group of the statements to work on at a time, and then say they get sent out on the 25th of each month. There's also computerized billing, which is the majority of what is happening now. So as you guys saw in spring charts, the computer system is actually doing some coding functions for you, and then what you didn't see in that program was that then it can actually do some billing from that. So from the CPT and ICD codes, it assigns a dollar amount, which then does the billing all by itself. So in 328, they show you a good picture of a patient statement, so you can see the different components of the statement there. So that would actually get sent out to the patient, so the patient was aware of what happened on their account for those visits. You can see that patient was seen a couple of different days. Along the bottom there's an important part. So from 0 to 30 days, 31 to 60 days, that has to do with how many days past due this patient's bill is. So as they start getting more and more past due, that's when they start worrying about trying to collect on that account. The patient payments they talk about, so you get payments at the time of service, so that's somebody making a co-payment or something like that. You want to make sure that you verify if people are writing checks that they're good. Patient payments, so if they're paying on their account, you want to make sure that they're posted the day that the patient submits them. You want to make sure that their accounts are always staying 100% up to date. If for some reason you get a non-sufficient funds check, for the majority of you guys, if you worked administratively, you would hand that over to the actual billing office, but just know that there is a procedure that you would follow, because you would want to get the amount of that check that was written as well as the fees that you would charge for that non-sufficient funds. Every once in a while you do get a credit balance to a patient's account. That means that there's money that you're putting back or crediting to their account. So maybe they overpaid on a bill, there was an adjustment that happened, or a fee was less of an amount that was originally billed. Whatever the case may be, there is the possibility that patients would then have a credit on their account. Then your book moves into talking about collection. The Truth in Lending Act is if the patient has agreed to make payments, 4 or more payments on their account, the patient then needs to have in writing exactly what the finance charges are going to be, and then the exact amount that they would end up spending, because clinics and any business really, credit card companies, banks, all of those things, if you're taking a specific dollar amount like $250 and you're going to make the payments for 4 months or more, they then can charge interest on that. So the patient has to be aware of what that interest amount is going to be, what the finance charge is going to be, and then what they are ultimately paying at when they have it completely paid out, because they will ultimately end up paying more. So they have to do the Truth in Lending Act. It's very important. You need to know that. The Fair Debt Collection Practice Act is what mandates the correct times of day that you can call patients to collect from them, anywhere from 8 in the morning to 9 p.m. You can be charged with harassment if you're calling outside of those hours. You can't make threatening phone calls. This protects against that as well. So it gives some protection to the consumers, so these companies aren't calling and harassing them and being inappropriate with them. There is a statute of limitation. Each state, a lot of the times, has their own statutes. It's usually about 2 years from the date of a bill for how long they can collect. So a lot of bills you can only collect on them for 2 years, and then they kind of get wiped off their books, the company's books. So Some strategies for collection. You can definitely make the collection calls. Make sure that you're following the rules so you don't get yourself in trouble with that. So you don't want to be harassing. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to do anything like that. Make sure that you're repeating the information back to the patient if you do get them to agree to a payment schedule, so they are fully aware, and make sure that everybody understands exactly what is expected of them. Then, of course, you want to make sure that you have the correct information at that time as well. Collection letters is actually part of your assignment that we'll talk about. So the collection letters, you want to make sure that you're using the appropriate language in those as well. You can't be rude, you can't be overly demanding, you can't be discriminatory to patients, you can't do any of those kinds of things. You still have to respect the fact that this is another person that you're talking to, and you have to respect them as a patient. Your book shows you the first collection letter on 337 and then goes into the second and third on page 338. So that gives you an idea of how the language changes the further out you get in trying to contact this patient. Those will come in handy when you work on your assignment, so make sure that you reference those to help you out. You can move into a collection agency if for some reason the clinic is unsuccessful in contacting this patient or unsuccessful in collecting the payment. They can go to a collection agency. They need to know, though, that there will be obviously some fees and some things involved in that. So the charges then are completely handed over to that collection agency, and they carry on collecting the money from there. You do have some collection circumstances. If somebody files bankruptcy, if somebody skips town, you no longer have a forwarding address, you don't have a current phone number, all of those things. Somebody passes away, and the bills and everything to do with the deceased goes into estate. I mean, there's some things that happen that prevent you from collecting that money, and those things the clinic would just deal with as they came about. So part of your assignment then is to do a collection letter, and this is your collection letter assignment sheet that's posted on D2L. So you have a patient ledger. Scroll down here. At the bottom part of this, it's completely filled in. So this is the ledger. There's dates on there. You can see there's been payments. You can see that there's been charges applied. You can see that there's been insurance payments. There's a non-sufficient fund charge. And then towards the bottom of it, you can see that there's quite a gap in between those payments the patient was making. So on line 11, we go from October to February. So this is the time frame that I want you to think about, and this is the time frame that I want you to use to construct a collection letter to this patient. Remember that there's ways that you can try to help this patient get their bill up to date. It's not about being rude and demanding the money. It's about helping the patient and finding out what is preventing them from paying their bill. So remember that you're dating the letter February 12th, 2013. Make sure that you include the dollar amount that she owes, give her the options for getting her bill current, make sure that you put contact information for the person at the clinic if she needed to ask some questions or talk to somebody. Use full block letter style on your letter. Make sure that you have letterhead, make sure that it's formatted correctly, and you can refer to your previous chapter that talks about written communications if you need to. You can also go to Microsoft.com to find a letterhead so you don't have to create one all on your own. So if there are any questions on the chapter itself, you have any questions on the assignment, like I said, make sure that you give a good look. There's 16 entries on this ledger form, so make sure that you give the ledger a good look. Make sure that you read the directions here so you're completing exactly what you need to complete. So, like I said, any questions, you guys can just let me know.